Hello, I'm the MultiColored Wiggle. I remember it, so you can too!
Back in the 1980s, in Australia, there was a pub rock band named the Cockroaches. The members' names were Anthony, John, and Paul Field, Jeff Fatt, Tony Henry, and Peter Mackey, among others. The band disbanded in 1988. Afterwards, Anthony, alongside roadie of the band Greg Page, enrolled into Macquarie University for a degree in early childhood education. While there, they met another student applying for the same degree, guitarist Murray Cook, and with the three of them bonding over music, they decided to make a children's album together. After getting additional help from Philip Wiltshire, who was working in the early childhood music program at the time, and Jeff Fatt from the Cockroaches, to add that rock and roll feeling to the project, which, by the way, they thought would only be a temporary project, they started recording in February of 1991 and named the album The Wiggles, based on the way kids dance. After months of work, the album was released on July 11th, 1991.
Now, keep in mind, we don't have that much footage from this album to go off of, since it never got a video release. Although there are reports of a 40-minute TV version happening, but we don't have access to that. So we'll have to use whatever videos and images I can find for this one.
One thing we do have as reference, though, is the box art. And just look at it! For an older logo, it looks fine, but these white scribbles meant to represent Wiggles just look out of place and mapped in random places. Also, take a look at their faces. Murray looks like he's staring directly into your soul. Greg's head looks like it's been detached from the rest of his body. Anthony is pulling his best "I'm not scared, I'm just defending myself" pose. Jeff is all, I don't even know what Jeff's doing down there. And Philip, well, Philip doesn't stay around for too long, but that just shows you how old this really is.
But enough talk about the presentation. Let's get into the meat of this thing.
Oh man, what a nostalgic throwback to a much simpler time. The first three songs on the album, Get Ready to Wiggle, Rockabye Bear, and Dorothy the Dinosaur, have become such undeniable classics, evolving through the decades just as the Wiggles have. What's amazing, though, is that despite these being the first iterations of these songs, all the charm is still here! These three songs are just so much fun! Even if you had never listened to a Wiggle song before, listen to these three and it's really hard not to get into them. You could argue that these songs are more simple, but that's what the Wiggles do best. They pick a topic and then they just make a song out of it. Get Ready to Wiggle is literally just about wiggling. Rockabye Bear combines a bunch of simple actions to set a mood. And Dorothy the Dinosaur is just a fun story, mostly meant to make you laugh. Sure, you could argue there are maybe deeper meanings to these songs, like Dorothy the Dinosaur is about protecting another being, which definitely makes sense given the lyrics, but the fact that a lot of Wiggle songs are based on such concepts makes them so unique. The way to describe it is this: it's not about the subject of the song, it's about what you do with it. And we'll see this mindset be used many times throughout Wiggles' history. So for now, let's marvel at the fact that even Greg's vocals are top-notch. Obviously, he improves with time, but for a 19-year-old, he has so much energy.
And to think, I'm around the same age that Greg was. Maybe I should start a band and see where that leads me. You never know, what could happen.
But, despite all of the nostalgia, something about this album feels off from later entries, and I feel this is all down to Philip Wiltshire. Like I said, Archie didn't stay with the group for very long, but for this album, he composed 75% of the music. And it shows.
Now, it's pretty obvious that Philip had a different idea for the Wiggles. First off, Philip's main forte is the piano, while Jeff mains the keyboard and accordion. And while the piano would go on to be used in some future Wiggle songs, it's undeniable that the electronic sound would become far more prominent throughout their history. Thus explaining why the first 3 songs fit the most within the rest of the Wiggles' history, whereas the rest become more so oddities compared to the later entries. For example, there are 4 lullabies, 2 of which being instrumentals. In fact, when they appear on the album, they follow the same pattern: a lyrical lullaby, a spoken track, and an instrumental lullaby. Like, did they want people to go to sleep that much by listening to their album? And the instrumental tracks don't stop there. Another song on the album, Archie's Theme, was actually written by Philip when he was only 14 years old. What's weird though is that the song is played twice, with only 1 instrumental track in between the 2 spots it's placed. And what's even weirder is this also happens with Get Ready to Wiggle. It's both the first and last song on the album. Honestly, what was the point of this? To evoke a certain feeling? To make it go full circle? Hell if I know.
In fact, one day, Anthony walked up to Philip and told him, "Hey, we need more original pieces on this album." So, in response, Philip wrote Mischief the Monkey right in front of him in 5 minutes.
Damn!
Now, keep in mind that despite the fact that it's different, that doesn't mean it's bad, or that it doesn't have any of that Wiggles charm in it. There are many great songs on the album. Some of my favorites are the international songs, those being Oki Toki Yanga, Oepo Tuki Tuki, and Vinny Vinny. Much like the first 3 songs, they're so fun and catchy that the language barrier becomes unimportant. These songs provide the gateway into a common theme throughout Wiggles' history of singing and covering songs of other languages, further adding to their universal appeal. And besides, once again, they're just so much fun to sing.
Oki Toki Yanga, Oki Toki Yanga, hey Mr. Day, Mr. Do, Mr. Day. Let's all sing Oki Toki Yanga, Oki Toki Yanga, hey Mr. Day, Mr. Do, Mr. Day.
Then you've got these spoken tracks, which are just really awkward. Just listen.
Stars light up the nighttime sky. Oh, how I wish I could fly.
Was that it?
The wind is a funny thing. You can't see it, but you can hear it.
Okay, that was a track, I guess.
I found a duck swimming in the pond. I had to take him back, because all night long he kept me up with his quack, quack, quack.
Boy, am I glad they used disk space on that!
Is it true there's a man in the moon? Or is the face I see not there? One thing I know for certain, the man in the moon has no hair.
I don't even know how to respond to that one.
Once I had a tiny little train. My baby sister left it in the rain. So now, instead of going, it goes.
You know, I wonder if this is scientifically accurate. Okay, so for this little experiment, we've got 2 Troy trains. First off, we've got Victor. Listen to how he sounds. Alright, now let's say we were to get someone like Luke. You're going into the sea again! No, nothing but that! Now, let's listen to how he sounds.
So, yeah, the spoken tracks are practically worthless. Right. But on the other hand, this album contains what I'd say is the best rendition of this old man that I've ever heard. First off, the confusing lyric of "On My Hive" has been changed to "making a dive," which makes a lot more sense. But, more interestingly, the song starts off quite slow, and as it goes on, it gets more faster and energized.
With a knick-knack, paddywhack, now give your dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. With a knick-knack, paddywhack, give your dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. And with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give your dog a bone. This old man came rolling home.
This really makes it stand out from other versions, which typically keep the whole song at one constant speed the entire time. This may sound like a small change, but trust me, it really gets you into the song. And the cherry on top of all of this, at the end of the song, everyone breathes a huge sigh of relief. It's like after singing the 12 Days of Christmas. Great song, but you're just exhausted by the end of it. Hashtag relatable, am I right? Another recognizable song they covered was Lavender's Blue.
Call up your men, diddle diddle, set them to work.
This is the part where the dark undertones start.
Okay, this is the part of the video where we talk about the weird and uncomfortable stuff on the album. Which, by the way, is another reason why this album feels a bit out of place. There's a reason the Wiggles don't typically do love songs. They're a children's band. And besides that, the song is literally about a couple sending their men out to work while they sit warmly at home. You can interpret this a number of different ways. Maybe I'm just looking too deep into things and it wasn't the initial intention of what it seems to be. Regardless, that's not the only questionable song. Look at track 8, Montezuma.
What's so funny? What's so funny? Doesn't this image remind you of the Wiggles at all?
Spot the Dalmatian plays like a cautionary tale, with a Dalmatian losing his spots, a platypus losing his bill, and a zebra losing his stripes. Honestly though, I really like this song, as its message is to be careful of what you take for granted. Wish more people would realize this. A track I've heard many say scared them as a kid was Desert Dreaming. I can see why with the constant didgeridoo and eerie noises, but personally, I find it impressively atmospheric. Besides, they're an Australian band. They're bound to have one song like this. Although, it is kind of funny that the way the song ends wouldn't feel out of place in a FNAF game.
But then, there was one song that got to me. One that scarred me. One that made me unsure if I could ever trust the Wiggles ever again. And that song is... A Froggy He Would A Woo and Go.
Hey, horses rolling.
And the thing is, the song starts off charming, with our main three characters hanging out, having a fun time. Those being a frog, a rat, and Murray doing his best Miss Piggy impression.
Hey, Mr. Frog, will you give us a song? Let it be something that's not very long.
Why are there so many songs about the rainbows? And what's on the other side? But it's all a trick, you see, as suddenly, a cat arrives. And while this went over my head as a kid, now I've seen enough cartoons to get what this means. So the frog runs off and, well, listen to this next line.
A lily white duck came and gobbled him up.
Eh?
A lily white duck came and gobbled him up.
Oh, sorry, I didn't
A
get that
lily white
again.
duck came and gobbled him up.
Please reset that one more time,
A
please.
lily white duck came and gobbled him
Again,
up.
again.
A lily white duck came and gobbled him
I didn't
up.
hear
A
you.
lily white duck came and gobbled him up.
What was that?
A lily white duck came and gobbled him up.
What
A
was
lily
that?
white duck came and gobbled him up.
I couldn't
A
hear
lily
you.
white duck came and gobbled him up. A
What?
lily white duck came and gobbled him up.
But if you thought that was bad, wait till you hear the ending.
So that was an end of 1, 2, 3. Hey ho, says Rolly. So that was an end of 1, 2, 3.
The rat,
The frog
and Mrs. Mousy.
with a roly
poly
gammon and spinach. Hey ho, says Anthony Rolly. Sleep.
No! You can't just do that! You can't just go from a frickin' this song straight to a lullaby and the thing is, there's no build-up. The song starts off charming and innocent and yet it goes into our three main characters dying. It's like for crying out loud, the only example I can think of is frickin' at the beginning when it says whether his mother would let him or no. So, but even still, I guess it's the frog's mother that let the frog die. I want the rat and the mouse. They're pretty much fates are sealed. What the heck? What the heck? What the hell? What the?
A froggy he would, a woo and go. The perfect song to give you nightmares and confusion for the rest of your life!
So, what do I think of the first Wiggles album? Don't get me wrong, there are lots of great things about it. Some of the songs go into classic or even legendary status. All the music is well composed, and it's very admirable for this being their first outing. However, with the oddities of Philip Wiltshires' big influence, the repeated and often pointless tracks, and the surprisingly dark nature of a few of these songs, this definitely isn't the best place to go for first-time listeners. If you're already a Wiggles fan, it's of course interesting to see where they got their start. Otherwise, I can see why they don't promote this one that much. But again, it has such a massive influence and legacy, to the point where they actually made 2 music videos to promote the album. So, before we finish this video, let's look at the 2 music videos, Get Ready to Wiggle and Dorothy the Dinosaur, that were on ABC for Kids Video Hits, Volumes 1 and 2 respectively, to close out this first episode.
Much like the song itself, the Get Ready to Wiggle music video has such a simple charm to it. From the simple colored background, to the Wiggles playing their instruments, to the fact that most of the video is just these 5 guys dancing around, this video just screams humble beginnings. Of course, being the first Wiggles music video, there are some differences. The squiggly lines from the cover art are back. There's far more close-up shots on body parts than normal. And since when did teddy bears gain mid-air physics? But my biggest pet peeve is, was this shot necessary?
Let's move on. I don't feel too comfortable looking at this. Well, this is a major change. Outside! Outside! Outside!
No, but in all honesty, as fun as this music video is, with more varied locations, it's clear it was definitely made on a budget. Dorothy's head and body look acceptable for the time, but the tail is another story. Seriously, what are those physics? It looks like it could just come off at any moment. Also, don't look at the neck if you don't want your childhood to be ruined. I'm sorry. But aside from Dorothy, at the end of the video, it's clearly shown that the audience is doing actions from Rockabye Bear. But really, these issues don't bother me. It's really low budget, yet it still has charm, and they were the stepping stones to a long-lasting legacy. And these two music videos give me nothing but joy every time I watch them. Also, I think these screenshots are funny.
Wow, that was a very interesting first episode, but regardless, I hope you join me next time when we look at the second album, Here Comes the Song. And until that time, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm the MultiColored Wiggle, I remember it, so you can too! I actually did it! I actually did it. Oh, I hate talking.